Okay, hey, my name is Greg. I own Celebrity Pedals. As a bass player, I've been lucky enough to tour a lot of the world as a musical director and bass player. I've played on some number one and platinum records, and I am constantly recording for artists on Universal, Polydor, Parlophone, Warner Brothers, Blue Note Records. And in 2 days, I fly to London to record with a newly signed Warner Brothers artist at Kong Studios. So, I'm in practice mode, and I wanted to share with you exactly what I'm practicing this week. Some of it is influenced by what I'm teaching my students, so take that into account if you will. But so, check this out. So, last week, one of my students said to me they want to learn to play Deantown by Wolfpack. So, what that means is I have to learn to play Deantown by Wolfpack because I want to show them how I would attempt to learn to play that song. So if you look at this, you will see that right at the top there it says Deantown and it says what is hip. So essentially to me what that involves is 16th note athletic type practice. And what that is metronome on and being able to play 16th notes consistently, if you know either of those songs, and then being able to switch strings and know what finger you're going to start on. So if I put the metronome on and I play, let me get the tone knob going. What's super difficult about this is when you swap strings. So I would suggest my student starts on index and decides there to carry on with the index, and to know that every time index starts the phrase, and when I swap strings, index again. So I'm always alternating index and middle no matter what. Now some people will say, I know, but when you play phrases, sometimes you rake with the same finger. That's okay, but you have to know when to do that. And I would suggest for something like Deantown to just decide on something and commit to it. For what is hip, again, these are all 16th note, consistent 16th note grooves. So when you're playing something like what is hip, and when I'm practicing it, I need to be super aware of when I change strings, what finger I'm going to start on, and I have to commit to that every time. Because if you don't know, and you're constantly changing, when I jump I went to middle, when I jump I went to index, when I played the phrase I went to middle, when I played I went to index, when this time I raked, that time I didn't. If you keep doing that, then you are not practicing. You're just playing something new every single time. So what I tend to focus on when I'm going to teach a student something like that is finding where the string skipping happens and where you really need to be sure about how you're alternating, keeping index and middle. And actually with these examples, it's possible to play index and middle alternating all the time. I'm always alternating index middle, and I'm committing to that, and I'm not changing. So essentially, for me to be able to play this and show it to my students, I find where those points are and I commit to it. I figure out if it's possible. In these instances, I don't need to play any raking. It doesn't help me. So we're going index and middle all the way, and we're learning to keep consistent 16th notes to a metronome. And then, especially in these songs, you also are muting with. So you're learning a lot by playing these kinds of things. Your right hand is really coming together, but when you incorporate that with the left hand muting, a lot is happening. Now, if you look next over here, it says metronome. Now, I like to spend a good part of my practice time with the metronome on, and what I do is I come up with a bass line, something quite simple, and I just stick to it for like 10 minutes and I don't change that bass line. So if I put a metronome on, let's do something, whatever. I might play a bass line, just make something up, because that's part of being a bass player. That's it. Honestly, that's 10 minutes of just playing that exact bass line with that exact same touch and that exact same feel to a metronome, because coming up with the bass part and then being able to play it exactly the same way is 99.9% of what we do as a bass player. Okay, so we should spend a lot of time on that. That should be what we spend the most time on, actually. Okay, now is when it starts to get into more personal type stuff here. So I've written out shifting fills, and then I have these arrows pointed at these different harmonic concepts that I have written about in my Bass Fundamentals course. I put that in the comments. What this is now some complex stuff if you've never checked it out. But so I'm going to just briefly explain this. This is not really what this video is about, but to give you an insight into it. B flat minor 7. On B flat minor 7, a lot of people might play B flat minor pentatonic, but I'm into finding the unusual and new sounds. Okay, so I know that on B flat minor 7 I can play F minor hexatonic on this. And I prefer the sound of that. So I would spend a practice session with a B flat minor playing or a B flat minor type groove, and then I would work on making fills with F minor hexatonic. And the same thing I've written on that piece of paper, D flat major. And I wrote spread 7th chords. So this is, again, I'm still playing on B flat minor 7, but I'm playing D flat major 7th with spread arpeggios. And again, all of this is in my Bass Fundamentals course. DM me if you're interested in taking a lesson. But so something I would practice is playing like a B flat minor bass groove, or on a loop. Okay, this is for later. That's coming up, don't you worry.